For today's history video, I'd like to talk about one of my favorite eras, how the Tea Party defeated Obama in the 2010 election. If you recall, in 2006, largely driven by dissatisfaction with the endless war in Iraq, the voters voted the Republicans out of control of Congress and gave both houses over to Democratic control, but not by huge margins. Then, riding Obama's victory wave of hope and change in 2008, they got top-heavy margins in both chambers, including closing in on 60 votes in the United States Senate. That led to a spate of legislation in 9 and 10 that was as far-reaching and as radical as any legislation, any comparable two-year period in American history. We have to go back to the Johnson administration, or the first 2 years of the New Deal, or the first 2 years of Wilson's presidency, to find a comparable level of avalanche, really, of liberal legislation. They passed the Obamacare bill. They passed $1 trillion in stimulus spending that jacked our deficit up from the range of $500 billion up to $1.5 trillion. It led to our national debt ballooning from $10 trillion to close to $20 trillion today, and just led to unbelievable mayhem in terms of our economy. The feds took over General Motors. They moved to regulate every aspect of American business. But the changes and the dislocations were not well received by the voters. In particular, they were turned off by the legislative maneuvering that went on to try to pass Obamacare in the dead of night, sessions voting on Christmas Eve, no debate allowed. Nancy Pelosi said, we'll have to read this bill, have to pass this bill in order to find out what's in it. And all of those shenanigans, buying votes with this amendment and that amendment, led to tremendous dissatisfaction with Obamacare, even as it was being passed. But there was no engine to galvanize the Republican Party into taking back control. And people rightly suspected the regular Republicans as being just go-along, get-along guys. They noted that it was the Republican Party during the Bush presidency, where he controlled Congress for 6 of the 8 years, that built up the federal deficit, built up federal spending, and ruined the balanced budget that Bill Clinton, a Democrat, had bequeathed to the Bush administration. Then the Tea Party came along as a result of an outraged outburst by a commentator on MSNBC, in which he called for a new Tea Party, just like the CNBC, when he called for a new Tea Party, just like the Boston Tea Party. And that found a spontaneous resonance throughout the country. And almost overnight, hundreds of Tea Party groups sprung up all throughout the United States, lending an energy and a vigor to the Republican opposition to Obamacare and to cap and trade, the environmental regulation, and a range of other issues. Then in early 2010, the Supreme Court ruled in the Citizens United case, in a movie in which I starred, about Hillary, that you could make endless donations for corporate free speech that affected issues of concern in the United States, that you could no longer limit corporations to a certain amount of money in expressing political opinions. That financial resource, combined with the human resource of the Tea Party, created a combustible political situation that really exploded and wiped out the Democratic majority in the House and made substantial inroads into it in the U.S. Senate. A very important sea change in American politics. Thanks for watching.